Hey everybody, this is my name's Kevin Hayden. I'm the Director of Study Abroad Programs, and I'm glad to be joined with some of my colleagues and some of our one of our Study Abroad ambassadors today. Becky, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Becky Denson. I'm the Program Manager in the Study Abroad office. I assist Kevin with semester abroad as well as more of a focus on short-term faculty-led programs that run through the different sessions. So thanks for joining us.
Hey Molly, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Molly. I'm a junior at Roger Williams right now. I double major in accounting and Spanish. And I recently, thankfully, before all of this, studied in Spain for a fall semester.
So thanks again for joining us today. What we want to do is just give everybody an idea of what the study abroad programs are shaped like at Roger Williams University, give you a sense of the of opportunities, some of the background too of why we do promote these experiences to all our students as well. We've got kind of a small group, we can have it very much conversational. I do have some slides that will kind of drive the presentation a little bit just to give you an overview. So I'm going to share those with you right now as we kind of go through those. But as Heather had mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to use that chat feature. At the end, we'll have the microphones opened up and we can just kind of have a conversation as well. So bear with me for a moment. Okay.
I think press resume slideshow.
Yeah.
Get everybody here.
Actually. Okay, there we go. All right, so
Oh, Kevin, I lost audio for you.
Yeah, I can't hear him either.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Molly and Heather.
Kevin?
Kevin, stop talking. Can you wave to him? Stop.
I think he got, maybe not.
Let me text him.
Oh, he's reconnecting right now.
did I mute myself?
You did. We're back.
I'm like, no.
This is what people hope for, that I could just go on and on without having to listen to me.
I'm okay with it. No.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry about that. So just as I overcome my tech issues here, so just to give you a starting point and introduce the office and who we are, what we do. Basically, the Spiegel Center for Global and International Programs is going to be that central office on campus that handles all things global and international. Primarily what that results or what that translates to is the study abroad advising. So we put together a host of programs that we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about in just a second. But we're one of those student-facing offices where we work closely with students to help strategize, to help advise, and to help plan and prepare for your study abroad experiences. We coordinate with different offices on campus, whether it's academic departments or some of the support offices throughout the campus, to help make sure that this is a seamless and really, best type of experience that you could possibly have. So we're also going to be that central information point for financial resources when it comes to study abroad planning. And then we're also going to be working with students from beginning to end to help prepare for, pre-departure, and then when students return as well, to help really put the experience, the study abroad experience, into a context to help students prepare for life after graduation and how that study abroad experience will really impact your days beyond, life at Roger Williams. So it's really, it's that one-stop office that's going to help you from, your first year as a first-year student all the way to life after graduation, really. We kind of maintain contact with students after they graduate. We have a lot of students that are trying to get into the field of international education or different career exploration, and we're going to be a resource that way as well. Okay, so some of the benefits. A second. There we go. Some of the benefits that we like to tout for a study abroad experience, and some of the background to why we really promote these experiences for all of our students really becomes, it's rooted in the impact that studying abroad has on students' overall development. There's a large body of research that really pulls out what we've known for years as far as students' development and what they need, what type of skills they're going to need for life after graduation. And study abroad is going to be one of those key experiences, one of those key components to a well-rounded education. And that's where Roger Williams really puts the emphasis. We want to make sure that you graduate with as many tools and skills to make you successful. And study abroad is going to play a large part of that. So when students are preparing for life after graduation, employers are going to be looking for certain traits and certain qualities and certain skills for recent graduate or within recent graduates. And this is where study abroad can really be helpful. Things like intercultural skills, the ability to be flexible and adapt different situations, different challenges, interpersonal skills, communication skills, problem solving. All of those traits are things that employers are dying to have in their employee pool. And this is where study abroad is going to really help you develop those things. Just way of the experience that you'll have while you're studying abroad, you're going to have the opportunity to develop and enhance these. And this is exactly what employers are looking for. As part of this experience, you're going to be able to develop cultural competencies, which is the area that employers are looking for. Students that study abroad, they often describe the experience as life-changing. And this is where students will have that opportunity to kind of realize who they are and really come into their own. So that opportunity to develop personally is going to be there with these experiences. Tying it into your academic programs, it's going to make it such a unique experience. Our study abroad programs are built into some of the majors. So just by way of studying on one of our programs, you're going to have certain opportunities to take advantage of that'll get you overseas, to get you out field. Again, the ability to develop some of these skills and traits that we're talking about. There's a lot of benefits, and this is again where our emphasis on these experiences comes from. Now at Roger Williams, the way we organize our programs, we try to make it as seamless and as accessible as possible. So what that means really is academically, students are going to be able to earn credit, and financially we want students to have access to these programs so they're not priced on this experience. So when students decide to participate in a semester, instance, what means is that students are going to remain enrolled as a time Roger Williams student. So the impact, it's basically a seamless experience. You're not going to have to withdraw from the university or take a leave of absence and take the course study abroad as transfer credits, for instance, which some schools do. We keep you integrated, we keep you registered as a full-time student, so that all of the coursework that you complete while abroad will come back to Roger Williams as graded credit, as graded Roger Williams credit. So students are able to use that to advance their requirements, their graduation requirements, which is a great thing. For all of our programs, whether it's a short-term program or whether it's a semester program, students are going to earn academic credit. And again, that's for the student's benefit. And as I mentioned a minute ago, that a lot of the programs that we offer, they're built into different departments, whether it's marine bio, whether it's London theater, whether it's architecture. students are, just by the way these academic programs are designed, they're going to have the opportunity to take advantage of some of these study abroad programs. Now, for semester programs, the way our approach is, it's going to allow students to pay their normal tuition, room and board, in semester fees, and apply their financial aid as well. So again, from a cost perspective, it's really a seamless experience. Now, when students decide to go on a short-term program, they're going to basically be billed for a semester, or excuse me, for a program fee. So it's handled a little bit differently, and we'll talk about some of the financial aid opportunities in a second too. But again, we want to make sure that students have access to these programs. So we're very conscious of what the cost is and what kind of scholarship opportunities are going to be available. So again, we encourage all of our students to have these experiences. So we set them up to be as accessible as possible and as seamless as possible on the academic side as well as the financial side. All right. Now, with the different programs that we offer, and we'll talk about the website, how you can view some of the programs that we run on a regular basis. So you can explore more details on what's available. But just to kind of give you an overview, we offer over 50 different study abroad program options. This represents 27 different countries that our students study in on a regular basis. That would include semester options and short-term faculty-led programs that run during the winter and summer as well. Now, from the semester perspective, which is where I focus on more so, and I'll turn it over to Becky in just a second to talk about short-term, but from a semester perspective, we have students that have access to some of our international partners around the world, where you're going to be housed at a university-based program. You're going to be integrated into their academic system, living in the dorms with students from the host school, to give you a completely different academic experience, and also to be able to take advantage of some academic opportunities that we don't necessarily offer here at Roger Williams. So it's a chance to enhance your academics and engage in something different and something a little, more challenging, or something that you might have some interest in that just isn't available here at Roger Williams. So we're constantly adding different partners, again, global institutions, to be able to offer an increasing range of academics to our students. Now, some of our programs, they might range from that from that university type program to something that's more field-based, where we get students out into the field to be able to do research, or just to be able to do some global engagement with the different communities around the world. So really, we're trying to meet students where they are academically, but also with their interests they have. So we're constantly, like I said, bringing on new programs to be able to offer a constantly evolving roster of opportunities for our students. Now, the other half of our program setup is what we classify as short-term faculty-led programs, and I'll let Becky talk about that. Hold on a second, I'm going to take the okay. So Becky, if you want to go ahead and talk about the faculty-led programs a little bit.
Sure. So we have an average, we usually run about 15 different program options each year, so that way we cover all different areas. It works out great for students who, they can't go abroad for a semester due to whatever type, certain majors that you're involved in, or if you're playing sports, or just at the end of the day, don't feel like going, don't feel comfortable going for a full semester. These are great options for students to go with a faculty leader who runs the show there. They'll be with you for the duration of the program at these different locations for a week or 2 or 3. And we do have a couple that are up to 4 weeks. So it's a good opportunity for the students. We're growing. We've noticed over the past couple of years that our short-term programs are growing, which is great. And you do get that same cultural experience, and you're taking these courses. Typically they're 3 credits and can be up to 6 credits depending on which, the program. So it's a great opportunity to be able to still, travel internationally and, get something quite, still get the cultural experience while you're there. So we usually offer them in winter intersession, spring break, and then also summer session. So those are the 3 times of year that we usually run these programs. For a general overview, just to give you an idea of what we ran this past year, although we unable to run them this summer, but we do have some that are, global engagement based in the Dominican Republic. That's something that we run usually every winter. We do have some department ran programs, for instance, biology in Belize, marine bio in Panama. That's, more of a department-based course that you could participate in. We also offer some senior seminar courses, which is a great way to fulfill that requirement that we all need, with the 3 credits or 6 credits, again, depending. And some of those are in, just to give you an idea, Spain, Germany, Greece. So we do have a broad range. The average student count that we usually send over, for over a year, anywhere between really 150 to 180 students in a given year as far as just even short-term programs go. So what we'll do is we're in the renewal process now for the programs for the year of 2021. So we should have those up listed. I mean, you can go to the Study Abroad portal and see what we've run in the past or this past year and just become more familiar with how things work and what options we do have, but we'll be updating all of those and they'll be ready to view by the summer. Winter applications will be ready available in the summer with deadline dates for each session. So if you have any questions, and hopefully we'll be back, the staff on, during the summer, and but please feel free to reach out with any questions. The door is always open at the farmhouse where we're located.
When we're there.
When we're there. And would love to help you.
Yeah, it's been exciting because one thing that we've seen a lot of students do over the past couple of years, if they're thinking that maybe a full semester might be too long, they don't want to be away from campus, so they'll take advantage of some of these summer programs, some of these winter programs, and they have such an amazing experience. They right back in our office, and students want to do that semester as well, just to kind of keep that experience going. So we've seen more and more students doing 2 programs, sometimes even 3 programs. So
that's true.
There's no limitations, and really
you
it's
get
just
that
something.
bug. You get that
Exactly.
bug. And we have so, like we both had said, really have so much to offer that. And again, I know Kevin had mentioned the short-term programs being a separate fee aside of tuition, but we do consider, keeping that level so students are able to afford that fee. And also, as he had also mentioned, we do have our own scholarships for students for short-term programs also.
All right. Thanks, Becky.
Yeah. Thank you, Kevin.
So just to jump back, I think everybody can see the screen a little bit. So one thing that we do like to point out, some things just to keep in mind too, is the way our approach to Study Abroad too. I keep saying accessibility. We really want students to have this experience. So when it comes to prerequisites for the different programs, there's going to be GPA requirements. There's going to be a lot of programs, you have to have a certain amount of credits completed. So that usually takes students into the second year. Sophomore year would be when these opportunities would open up for students. But one thing to keep in mind really is not to limit yourself. You don't have to have experience in a language to study in any of these countries that are non-English speaking. So I encourage students to really think wide and think broadly about the different opportunities that exist. Don't limit yourself just to the English speaking countries, and really look at these options and these opportunities as a goal so you can stay on top of your academics. Again, there is going to be a minimum GPA requirement for a lot of these programs. So keep that in mind just so you don't limit yourselves. So just to give you a sample of some of the programs and some of the activities that our students do on a regular basis around the world, if students are interested in the education program or an education major, We've got the student teaching opportunities in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, Northern Ireland, which is just a great experience to get students engaged in a different cultural setting and work with students closely. We've got our architecture programs in both Florence and Barcelona, which are just, again, built into the architecture program. So when it comes time for your third year, you're going to be able to choose to go either in the fall or the spring and study in either Florence or Barcelona, which is where our 2 studio-based programs are set up. Each fall, we have students, marine bio students, doing research down in St. George's, Bermuda, which is just a great field-based type program that gives students world-class research opportunities and access to working labs to be able to do some networking, but also to come out of the semester with their own research in hand and be able to get that published. We've got students that do internships each semester in the UK. My apologies, I've got a picture from China actually for that, right there. But this is a great opportunity for students to be able to satisfy internship requirements and study in the UK, which is a very popular location. And they've got some great opportunity for students to get real world experience, but in that global context. And that's something that's really a resume builder right off the bat. And then we also have opportunities for global engagement in the Dominican Republic. As Becky mentioned, each winter we have students engage with communities in the DR and to be able to kind of do their coursework through these types of engagement opportunities. So that just gives you an idea of the types of programs and the types of activities our students are doing each semester. So at this time, I'm going to reintroduce Molly. And let me pause the share real quick. Molly, I don't know if you want to, I can run your slides in just a second, but if you want to give just an overview of your program and really what drew you to that particular program choice. And then I'll put the screen share up so you can just as we go along.
I studied in Sevilla, Spain. It's like in the southern tip of it. I chose it because Spanish was my minor actually. And by going, I actually had enough credits to make it my major. So I thought, why not diversify myself on my resume and be able to have another degree under my belt when I graduate. The program ran from September 15th to the beginning of December. So it was just enough time to miss home, but just enough time to be able to go experience everything and say you saw enough. There was the option I could do for accounting, the 3-week program, but as I said, I wanted to be able to see more. So I chose to do a semester-long one. So yes, where I went was Sevilla. That's a little picture of the aerial of the city. Now I'm able to major in Spanish, which is really huge for me and really important. And I wanted just to go there. I wanted to just be able to study somewhere where I would be able to improve my Spanish because I've been taking it since elementary school. So being able to be somewhere where all you hear every day is Spanish was really important to me because it really helped a lot. So if you are thinking about Spanish, definitely go somewhere that speaks it. Why I chose the ISA program specifically, there's 3 options of living: the dorm style, which is the picture I have. That's just a picture of my room. We had our own bathroom. It wasn't really like there was an art or anything. It was just a house on the side of the university. So it was about 10 bedrooms where you lived with one other person. And then we had a communal kitchen, communal living rooms, all of that, which was really nice. Actually, we had maids and everything. So that's why I chose that, because I'm very messy. Then there's apartment style. So you can actually look online for apartments, or they can choose one for you and you can choose that where you're completely on your own, or there's a host family option where you can live with a family, they have children, everything like that, and you actually will have a roommate from someone else studying abroad. A lot of my friends did that and they loved it. They really got to be able to create relationships with the family that they could go back and be invited to stay there in their home, which is really cool. Which was huge for me is the next point, that the weekend excursions are included in the cost. So by paying the tuition that you're normally going to pay to go to Roger Williams, I was able to go to 6 countries with the school. So it wasn't like I had to pay $600 next weekend to be able to go somewhere. Every weekend they would send an email and you say, yeah, I'll go to Portugal, or no thanks, I'm going to do my own thing. And if you say yes, you get transportation, you get your hotels, your activities, and then sometimes even the meals included, which was really huge for me. And the biggest bonus with that was having like people there that knew what to do. So if you ever needed help, you could call and they'd be at the hotel, or you could be like, where do I eat? And they know, and they can give you advice, which is really cool for me, than being just thrown into a random country and being like, okay, now what? So that was cool. And then just an example of some classes I took mostly them in Spanish just to improve my language, but they did offer a variety of English classes. So don't ever feel like you have to go to a country and know the language. They're very accommodating, and a lot of my friends had no idea. They knew hola and cerveza, so that was it. And then these are some places that I traveled. As I said, I was able to go to 6 countries. We slept in the Sahara Desert for 6 days, which was really cool. But just as I was saying, it's all included. Well, not all of these, but most of them were included in the cost. And a big piece of advice: when you're studying abroad, you can get a flight to Italy for $30. So it's like such an important time to be able to like not only visit where you're studying, but to see the world, because you're never going to be able to go to Italy for $30 from America. So maybe now, but not at all ever again. So definitely important to be able to travel at the same time. So.
And did you have a spot, Molly, that you fell in love with that was your favorite?
I loved Italy. I was on the Amalfi Coast, which is where my family's from, so that was cool. We had like a villa for $100 each, and it was so beautiful, right on the water. But the desert was definitely awesome. It's just crazy how like people live there and love it. But the stars at night, because there's no lights, like all of that, like just a really cool experience, riding camels for hours and stuff. So.
Did you go to Morocco with ISA, or did you go on your own?
Oh, I would never go.
With ISA.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, because someone I know that goes to Roger that studies architecture went to Barcelona, and he was like, oh, how did you find the taxi? How did you do this? And I was like, thankfully, I didn't have to do any of that. Like, I don't think I would have been able to go to half the places if I didn't have the program.
Great.
And then these are just some other things that we would do during the week that they offered us. Kayaking. They tried to make us feel like we were still at home. We'd do pumpkin carving. We'd have Thanksgiving dinner. Didn't compare at all, but it was still cool. And tree decorating. They did cooking classes. You could sign up for weekly soccer games, and then volunteer activities opportunities. Some of my friends taught English to children in schools, and then one of my friends from Roger Williams that also went, she had an internship at a hospital there. So really cool. There was a lot to do that wasn't school.
Now, for the Thanksgiving dinner, did they have turkey?
They gave us all like the legs and not the actual meat. And I was like, did you look on the book?
With the
That's a nice try.
Yeah.
Nice try.
And then definitely my personal top 3 benefits of studying abroad was the full cultural immersion. I definitely learned a lot about myself, but I'm also now like, it was easier to take a Spanish class here and like have the teacher only speaking Spanish, but it was so slowed down that you could understand, rather than jumping into like people are like, you gotta know, but they're also really good with, they know Americans when they see them. So a lot of people there know English, which is huge. So you don't ever feel like you're not welcome or anything. And then you're able to see places around the world for a much lower price, definitely. $30 for my Italy trip, loved it. And then you create lasting relationships with people all over the world, which I think is huge. I know people from Hawaii, that was my roommate, from everywhere. And then now I know people in other countries that are like, if you ever need a place to stay, just message me. So it's really cool that I now have a new network of people.
Excellent.
And then my advice, if you're thinking about it, which I think you are if you're on this call, definitely do it. It is so like life like changing. So even if you want to do the short term, just to be able to see the world where you might never be able to see it in another time, it's really important. And the experience is amazing. And then save up your money, definitely, because thankfully I did, and I was able to do what I wanted. But I know a lot of people would be like, oh, I can't go here this weekend because I didn't save money, or my mom won't send me any. So it was definitely really nice that I was able to have that freedom. And then travel while you're there, definitely, but be able to save some time to actually learn about your own city, because there's people there that you could actually like. So I know people that fell in love, so maybe they'll be married in the future, but definitely just to be able to have that feeling of home when you're there is really huge. That's all I got for you.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Molly. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Molly.
that.
No problem.
Yeah, the one thing, I mean, travel is a big part of the experience, and our students are definitely taking advantage of those opportunities. But really, the connections that you make and the connections that you kind of set up during the experience while you're studying abroad, those are all just phenomenal opportunities that students have. And again, it's just really cool to see what the students come back to campus with, you know, what they're bringing back, with the experiences that they're bringing back, and then to see how that's applied towards the last, you know, year or 2 years that they are on campus before graduation. So that gives you kind of an overview of the programs, the you know, I didn't really go into too many of the locations, but like I said, we're pretty much represented on each continent. So and depending on what students' interests are, we're constantly adding new programs, whether it's through the faculty or for our semester options. So at this point, Heather, if we want to open it up for questions, and if anybody, you know, has anything that they want to ask any of us, feel
Sure.
free.
If you want to make me host again, I can unmute everyone, and
Okay.
you can go from there.
Let's see how I can.
If you click the 3 dots on the top, if you hover over my image, the 3 dots on the top right, and just hit make host.
So I see here from Isabel, how do you go about short-term abroad fees and tuition? Short-term abroad fees and tuition. So am I typing it here, or am I just speaking?
Oh, you can answer it out loud.
Okay. I just want to make sure this is new to me too. So as I had mentioned, that the short-term programs is a separate fee. So it's not part of the actual tuition, being that it's in an intersession, which is technically outside of a semester. So, you know, each program does have a different fee depending on the duration of the program, excuse me, where it is, that sort of thing. So when you see the programs on our website, you will notice what that fee is, what the fee includes, and a lot of the times it'll include, you know, the accommodations, some meals, transportation or site visits. Normally it does not include airfare, but again, we also do offer some, you know, Roger Williams scholarships to help offset some of that cost.
And then for the semester fees, basically, it's going to be based on what you would normally be paying for a semester at Roger. So it's the same tuition that you're going to be paying Roger to be able to study abroad in any of our approved programs. How we basically, from a majority of the programs, will bill students for the tuition, for housing, and then semester fees. So that's all included. Meal plans don't usually factor in because students, for the most part, are going to be responsible for their own meals while they're abroad. So it really, you know, if you're budgeting for a semester at Roger, that means that you should be able to travel to any or study abroad on any of our other program locations. As Becky said, there are going to be scholarship opportunities that we offer, as well as external scholarships to help kind of supplement. Now that's one side of the coin. Spending money, as Molly mentioned, that's always going to be a factor too. So, you know, saving up for that experience, that's going to be something that you want to start planning for. And again, that's where our office is going to come in to be able to help you navigate what that means. You know, how much money do you have to save? How much do you want to anticipate what that is going to entail? So all of those items are things that we help our students with, basically. So
Payson was wondering, Molly, roughly how much money would you estimate that you spent on outside expenses that weren't included?
Okay, so since I chose the dorm style, I didn't have a meal plan, so I had to pay for my daily meals. But with the host family, they were all included. So, and I also like to shop, so I went with 2 luggages and came home with 4. So I'm not a good example. But my friends came with about 2,000, and they were fine. But I spent around like 5 because I have shopping problems. But I would say save like 2 to 3,000 and you'll be totally fine to be able to do whatever you want.
Michelle was wondering, since I'm majoring in both marine science and visual arts, if I went to Bermuda for a semester in the marine bio program, how would I continue with art?
That's a great question, actually. So this is where planning comes in, and I'm somebody that will always promote early and effective planning. So basically, as soon as you arrive on campus, this is when we usually like to start meeting with our first year students, just to set the stage, to introduce ourselves to you and kind of give you a lay of the land and kind of give you the tools that you need to start preparing. So if you decided to go on this particular program because it's marine bio intensive, you're not going to have the opportunity to integrate visual arts courses. So what that would mean and what that would really entail is you starting to prepare a little bit ahead of time to maybe front load some visual arts courses, or to schedule out where you can get those requirements for your visual arts program, and stack it so you kind of prepare for that semester where it's just going to be marine bio. So there's different ways and different approaches. And then working with your academic advisor, which is going to be a faculty member, that's key. So it's always going to be a partnership between our office, the student, and then some of the other support offices, whether it's your academic advisor or the advising center, or SAS, or all of the different offices that kind of get involved in that process. It's not, it's something that that students kind of plan for each semester, so it's not that big of a deal. And then we could also look at other program options. So Bermuda is one of our key marine bio programs, but we also have a partner in Australia that is a full university setting that would allow you maybe to delve and get some visual arts along with some marine bio. So there's different options that we could definitely do.
For me, staying on track was just throwing in like a summer class here and there just to keep my credits aligned and to be able to graduate on time. So definitely your advisor will help you with that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Australia, Isabel had a question. Interested in doing an Australia-based program for public health. Can I also take classes for international relations and anthro-sociology?
So again, another great question. I love this because people are already thinking very specifically.
It's not too early to start thinking.
No, this is great. You guys are awesome. So public health, actually, that's one of our majors, one of our minors, one of our academic programs that we've been working hard to start to align a lot of study abroad options for. That particular program is very interested to get their students engaged in these types of experiences. So whether it's a short-term experience, whether it's just a travel component with one of our clubs and orgs, FIMRIC, which works on campus, or a full semester, there's going to be a lot of options. Australia, we've got a partner at James Cook University, which is one of the leaders in tropical health and public health in that region of the world. So you'd be able to take some public health electives and also, kind of dovetail with anthro-soc IR courses as well. It's a full kind of broad-ranging university, so you're going to have a lot of course options available to you. And that's one of the things that's drawn our students to that particular program. So it's and just being in Australia too is pretty awesome. So, so that's one thing that's like a program that I would recommend and kind of point you towards to look at. So that's at James Cook University.
Madison is wondering, I heard there was something where you can take classes over the summer at sea and travel to multiple countries. Is that an available option for Rogers students?
So summer at sea. So there's a couple of programs. One is semester at sea, which is kind of cruise ship oriented. It's a big cruise ship that turns into kind of a floating university almost. We don't partner up with them directly, but we have had Roger Williams students participate. It's a program that students have enjoyed thoroughly. The approach is that and this is, I'm more familiar with the semester duration as opposed to a shorter duration, so I can't speak to the specifics, but usually for a semester experience, students would board the ship, and then they basically set for their travels, and they usually go around the world pretty much, and it would be between 9 and like 14 different ports of call, depending. And you do maybe a day or so at each port of call, you know, all depending. But yeah, it gives you it kind of gives you a lot of countries, but a short amount of time. So, you know, it's just a different approach. And our students that have done it, it is handled differently through our office, where that is a program that would be treated as a transfer situation. So the credits would be transfer credits. You would have to take a leave from the university to participate in what we call an external program. But, you know, there's always a means to do that. So it's not, you know, particularly difficult to do. And we would work with you to help kind of get that set up if that's something that you want to pursue. We have a shipboard education partner called C Semester. There's a lot of these very confusing, very slightly different nomenclature for these types of programs. But there's Semester at Sea, which I just talked about. We partner up with C Semester, which is kind of, they have two ships, one on the Atlantic side, one on the Pacific, and they're tall ships. So the students basically crew these tall ships while taking classes on board. It's a much smaller experience, usually about 35 students on board. You do 6 weeks on the Cape for land-based education, and then you transfer into the shipboard side of it. And you do a certain cruise. A lot of them are more science heavy. They have a couple of social science oriented cruises, but that's one option that you could look at too. They don't do a lot of ports of call, but a lot of them are more research oriented cruises. So very, very, you know, specific type of program, great experience, you know, but it's going to be a niche type thing. So that's going to be something that you're, pardon the pun, but on board with. So I know, I'm sorry. Quarantine, it's getting to my brain.
Brianna's wondering if you can get a minor by doing study abroad.
Great question. Again, you guys have some really good questions. So there's a couple of different approaches. Depending on what your minor may be, you can kind of finish it out and do a lion's share of the coursework while you go abroad. So depending on where you're going to be studying, you'll be enrolled in between 12 and 18 credits. So you have that opportunity to really kind of finish out a minor. We don't have a study abroad minor though. We do have a core concentration, and you may or may not be familiar with our general education setup, but if you do want to learn more, you can always reach out offline and we can go over that. But we have at Roger Williams something called a core concentration. It's kind of like a baby minor. It's a requirement that all students have, and it's basically 15 credits outside your major. And some of those core concentrations can be moved into a minor by taking one additional class. So that's something to consider. So a lot of students do that just because it's easy. But we do have a core concentration that is classified as international studies. So core concentration in international studies that students can satisfy by going abroad, basically. You focus on the culture of the host country. And that works for a lot of students. Right now it's set up where you cannot advance that into a minor. It's just a core. But, you know, again, a lot of students are fine with that because a core is pretty much a minor, you know, for all intents and purposes. So that's one way to do it. And this is where, again, we're going to kind of sit with all of our students and go over all of those requirements. And that's a large part of what we do on a day-to-day
Part of that
basis.
advising, you know, area.
Exactly.
Isabel was wondering if you could talk about when semester programs start for study abroad programs. So when they would leave for the abroad programs, if is there a different orientation process at those locations that they're traveling to?
Sure. For the semester programs, a large part of it is going to be determined by the location that you may be studying. So for instance, a lot of the European locations are going to begin very close to what our academic calendar would be set up for. So, you know, fall semester students going to European programs, they would start for the most part by the end of August and run into the beginning of December. And then same thing for spring participants, they would go January until May or so. Now, Australia and the Southern Hemisphere locations are different because of the seasonal differences, and the academic calendar is organized differently. So if you wanted to study in Australia and you wanted to go during our fall semester, it would begin in July and run until November. So you would just report onto the program. They would have an orientation on site. So all of our programs, whether it's a university-based program or a provider like what Molly went through, they have their own orientation process. They have their own staff on site to be able to assist you. So it's really, I mean, it's a good environment to be able to kind of get you set up and give you what you need to be successful on the program. How was your orientation, Molly?
Mine was good. We actually flew into Madrid and we stayed there for a weekend where we just had a few meetings and we learned just about like the culture and everything. The embassy actually came to us, gave us their number, everything like that. We had pamphlets, places to go, things to do, and all numbers of anything you ever needed. So it was really nice. And then they took us down to Sevilla to start school. So it was
excellent. And then Becky and I, we also do pre-departure sessions for our students to kind of go do the overview of all of the different bits and pieces that you're going to need to be familiar with. So we want to make sure our students have as much of the tools and information that they'll need to be successful.
I think you talked about this a little already, but Pace is wondering, as a marine biology major, if interested in the C semester, is that considered study abroad? If so, do you have more information on how to qualify for it?
Yeah, so basically that's one of our, that's for a marine bio student, that's one of the kind of go-to programs that we will always refer to for marine bio students. There, as I mentioned, they've got several different cruise focuses that would allow you to really kind of specialize and learn a little bit more about specific areas that you may be interested in, whether it's, you know, oceans and climate, whether it's the global ocean focus. So, you know, like I said, they alternate depending on the Atlantic cruise and the Pacific cruise, but it would give you a good range to choose from. And it is considered study abroad, you know, and that's a program that works through our office. To qualify for the program, basically a 3.0 GPA at the time of application, and recommendations, things like that. So.
And Fred's wondering, if you're an undeclared student, do you have to choose a specific area of study to dedicate yourself to at the study abroad experience?
So great question, Fred. Yes, that's one requirement to study abroad, is that you have your major declared. The reason being, we want to make sure that we're setting you up to advance your requirements. We love our students to have these experiences, but we don't want them to be lost experiences and just to go abroad. We want you to be able to come back and have, you know, forward progress towards your requirements for graduation. That's important. You know, if you came back and the credits just were whatever, it wouldn't do anybody any good. So we want to make sure that these are going to be beneficial to you. So that's why we need you to have your major declared. And typically by the end of sophomore year, that's when you're required to have declared your major and minor, and all of those curriculum declarations made. And that falls in line with when you're going to be preparing to go abroad. A majority of our students go abroad during their, if they're doing a full semester, they're going to be going abroad during their junior year. Sophomore year would be the earliest, but majority, if you go look at the numbers, it's mostly juniors. Just because, again, getting general education requirements out of the way and just building those foundations, it just falls in line with kind of your academic development.
That's all for the chat right now. Any
Excellent.
other questions? Can you discuss the financial information regarding study abroad for senior seminar?
Becky, you want to take that one?
So the senior seminar would be, yes, we, as I had mentioned for our short-term programs, we do have various locations and various programs that will offer that 3-credit senior seminar course. So again, being with the short-term faculty-led programs, as I had mentioned previously, it's a separate fee for each program depending on where in the duration. So what happens is within that fee, there is a tuition portion built in, again, and then, different programs offer different as far as transportation, accommodation. So we do break it down for you. That fee is broken down per each short-term program, of the tuition and what all it covers. So, and that would usually, that would be posted on our study abroad website, or you can, when you're ready to come on in and I can go over all those details with you, kind of sort things out, what's what, as far as, breaking down that fee. Does that make sense? Does that cover?
I think so. Any other questions? She says, yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other ones? I don't think so. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. On the admission side of things, I'm sure you guys have gotten many, many emails and many, many Instagram posts. We are still doing our 4 to 5 p.m. Q&As that have 2 current students on them. With admissions professionals Mondays through Fridays and Sundays. If you haven't decided where you're going yet, hopefully you do choose Roger, but we did extend out our decision deadline from May 1st to June 1st. We know you have a lot going on right now, so we definitely want to be cognizant of that. But as always, if you ever have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here as a resource to you. Good luck with the rest of your search for sure. And we hope to see you on campus soon.
Good luck, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great. And feel free to reach out. We're on our website if you have any questions.